Howdy, Tommy from Tanknicians here, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you guys about one of my favorite fish, which is the blue-green chromie. Chromis viridis is one of the most popular fish kept in the aquarium trade, and a lot of people have difficulty keeping them, and there's a couple of reasons why specific to their biology that we're going to discuss in this video and help you to take the best care of them that you can. Because this is a really rewarding fish. It's fun to watch them school in an aquarium, especially if you have a really large aquarium. And here we have some really beautiful blue-green chromies. These are the classic coloration, and you don't often see them this bright. So you can see they have the really nice blue color to them with the green hues, and they kind of change color too depending on what angle you're looking at them. It's a really beautiful fish. You see how they school together. So blue-green chromies are much more comfortable if you keep them in a group. The best displays that I've seen of chromies where you can really see them doing a tight schooling have all been 400 gallon or greater, but you can still keep them happy and healthy in a smaller aquarium. If you have a 90 gallon or smaller, I wouldn't say to put any more than 5 of them in there. And if you have, say, a 180 to 220, you could get away with 10 or 12 of them. Blue-green chromies will reach 4 to 5 inches in size. 4 inches is probably really pushing it. And they'll attain that size in just a couple of years. They don't live very long. Probably 5 to 7 years is close to max. Many people have a hard time keeping blue-green chromies long term, and I think that's almost entirely due to disease and a lack of adequate nutrition. So blue-green chromies, they invest very little energy into self-repair. So if they're sick, if they have any kind of disease, they're very likely to succumb to that. Blue-green chromies also are very high energy fish, so they need to feed frequently. They're small, so they don't have a lot of fat reserves or even room in their stomach to hold on to nutrients throughout the day. So if you want to keep them, the best thing that you can do is 1, make sure they're healthy and they're going into a healthy aquarium that doesn't have disease, and then 2, feed them frequently. We power feed these at the shop. We give them food probably 4 or 5 times a day most days. You can see they're a little timid with the camera. Usually they're right after the food as soon as we take the feed port off. There you go, you can see them eating. But we power feed them 4 or 5 times a day. A lot of what we're feeding them to are small food sizes. So right now I'm giving them some PE calanus copepods. We'll also feed baby brine, the Hikari copepods. They'll get live brine too, and they'll also get mysis and squid when they're large enough, but when they come in really, really small, we tend to stick to PE calanus. So to get your chromies healthy, you have to treat them for whatever diseases they might have, and one of the more common diseases the chromies will come in with is urinema. Urinema is a very difficult disease to treat for, so the best thing that you can do is start with high quality chromies, and then you want to quarantine them in smaller batches to minimize your risk of having urinema. And you're going to want to follow the treatment protocols that I'm linking below. So you can use formalin if you feel confident and competent to do that. Formalin has certain health risks that you should definitely be aware of before you consider using that. You can also use copper and metronidazole. You're going to want to make sure that you're also feeding metronidazole as well as putting metro into the water column. And then our personal favorite way to treat them is with chloroquine phosphate and then metronidazole in the food. We find that this has a very high success rate for us, and the chromies seem to really tolerate CP well. Especially if you're bringing in smaller chromies, they tend to not do well with formalin or copper in our experience. It's a little harsh on the fish, whereas CP has a very mild, if any, impact at all. So far I've talked about how to keep chromies alive and healthy and thriving in your aquarium, but we haven't talked at all about their behavior. Chromies inhabit a very specific part of a reef. So if you go on YouTube and you just look up some videos of chromies swimming in a reef, you'll see scenes similar to this image that I'm about to show you. Chromies really enjoy inhabiting SPS corals. If you have an SPS dominated tank with a really big staghorn coral, they love to hang out in and around that. And if you think about their biology, they're a small schooling fish. How is on a reef, and reefs have a lot of predators, how is a small schooling fish going to congregate and hide? They can't do that in a hole on a reef. You know, a big cave is large enough for other species to go and find them and eat them. So inhabiting these SPS corals, this 3D structure that's kind of open but also closed, it also gives them good views of their surroundings, so they know when they can come back out into the water column and forage on zooplankton, which is their primary source of food. That's the structure that you want to emulate if you want to see their natural behavior, their normal biology expressed in your aquarium. Here at Tanknicians, we believe that that should be the ultimate goal. If we're keeping these animals, if we're taking them from the ocean, we should be giving them the best tank possible. And so if you want to keep these fish, I highly recommend trying to do so in an SPS reef, or at least in an aquarium with a big staghorn coral or substrate similar to a staghorn coral. You can accomplish this really easily with some Tonga branch, and if you can't find the real stuff, there's some great man-made options available now too. That's it for this video. I was inspired to make this one. It's very common for people to come into our shop, and when they look at the chromies, they say, oh, they're beautiful, but I can never keep them alive. And the truth is, if you feed them appropriately and you make sure that they're clean and healthy, they're an incredibly hardy and rewarding fish. So you just need to make sure that you're getting good stock, you're treating them appropriately, and then you're making sure that all of them are eating. And they tend to do really well in aquariums. When they get bigger too, I should note, sometimes they can get a little aggressive if you have smaller, more peaceful fish. So that's something to keep in mind. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and here's a nature clip.
I didn't realize.
You weren't recording?
No, I was. I had stopped it right before you were about to release it, so I started it again. Gone. Oh. It's impossible to see in the video there.